There it is. He timed it right.
Counting to explode with the left. Oh, and that right, but Davis took off some of the steam of the punch, but still.
Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Civil attorney, I've no idea where Gervonta Davis has gone. The arrest warrant issued for Gervonta Davis last week follows a felt separate search for him by the civil attorney representing the former 3-division title holder's alleged victim. We have been attempting to obtain service of process on Davis, and we are certain we will obtain service of process when Mr. Davis has been arrested. Richard Wolf, the attorney for the woman who previously sued Davis for alleged violent treatment that led Miami Gardens, Florida police to seek him last week on counts of battery, false imprisonment, and attempted kidnapping, told Boxing Scene, and bear in mind that he was already on 3 years probation at the time that all of this happened, making a bad situation worse. Even worse that he is now avoiding detection. By now he has to have seen that there's a warrant out for his arrest, and the smart thing to do would be to turn himself in, but Gervonta Davis is anything but smart. Asked where he suspects Baltimore's Davis, 31, could be, Wolf said, "No idea. We sent our process server to his house 6 times without success. We filed a motion to allow an alternative service. When someone's evading service by publication, that's set for hearing." The WBA responded to Davis's legal trouble by labeling him a champion in recess, effectively stripping him of his lightweight title so contenders such as top-ranked Floyd Schofield can fight for the strap. Davis hasn't fought since his controversial March 1st draw versus Lamont Roach Jr., who was deprived of a knockdown call by referee Steve Willis. Davis's domestic violence trouble caused both the planned Roach rematch and an exhibition against Jake Paul to be scrapped. The civil attorney's hunt for Davis and law enforcement's attempt to locate him are separate matters because one is a civil case and one is a criminal case. A civil dispute between two parties doesn't have to involve any criminality. Not by default and not by itself. This situation does because, well, Gervonta Davis was already on 3 years probation, and these are criminal charges. Kidnapping, that's criminal. False imprisonment, and battery, that's criminal. Wolf expressed confidence Davis will be brought to answer for his alleged crimes, including bruising the woman whom he previously had a relationship with during the October incident when he allegedly grabbed her at her place of work, forced her to a parking garage, and sought to drive away before she fled. The civil lawsuit damages being sought are unknown because Florida allows alleged victims in such cases to file by noting that they are seeking in excess of $50,000. We attempted to resolve the matter without success, and we look forward to presenting our client's testimony in court, where that CCTV footage is sure to show up. So even if you are of the opinion that this looks like a shakedown and it sounds like a shakedown, it doesn't help Gervonta's situation at all that there is CCTV footage that corroborates everything this girl is saying, and that is per the police report, the police who are also looking for him. I think the smartest thing for Gervonta Davis to have done would have been nip this in the bud immediately after it happened. Offer that girl some hush money and do whatever you have to make this go away, because you were already on probation for the hit and run. Essentially, you were already skating on thin ice. Buddy, the smartest thing for him to have done would have been to stay home and keep his goddamn hands to himself. That seems to be the issue. Based on her testimony that their relationship ended a month prior to the incident, he would have had no reason, none at all, to show up at her place of work at 4:15 in the morning, let alone doing what he ended up doing. Does he think this is a rousing game of hide and seek to where if he hides long enough, they'll stop looking for him? He's been jammed up for the same thing more times than I can count. I don't know how much or how little time they're going to give him for this thing, but it's hard to imagine that he comes out of this without doing some sort of time behind bars. Something. That is, unless he goes ahead and does something stupid like get involved in a high-speed chase and wrap his car around a tree. I'm not even wishing that upon him. I'm just saying, this guy's got a penchant for making a bad situation worse, for doing stupid things and making stupid fucking decisions, to where I wouldn't rule it out. This situation going from bad to worse. It's been going on for a week now. What does he think? That if he hides long enough, they'll stop looking for him? I believe that his boxing career is absolutely over now, indefinitely, at 31 years old, factoring in however long they might give him, as much or as little as 3 years, let's call it. It's very hard to put a number on what he might get if and when he is apprehended and has to face justice, but what? He'd get out in his mid to late 30s, having already had a waning interest in the sport of boxing because at the start of last year, he said he wanted that to be his last year in the sport. You could argue that Gervonta is technically in his physical prime now, and his physical prime is somewhere in between 25 and 35. It's all downhill after that, so that if he doesn't get out until after that, his best years are gone.
Done.
Of course, within the four walls of a cell, he might renew his interest in the sport of boxing, something that he aspires to do when he gets out, but he won't be able to do it at the same level that he used to. He's not going to get faster, like Ibushi did when he served his sentence, and it was a long one. Oh sure, somewhere in between that time that Gervonta Davis is serving out his sentence, however long it is, he might have a renewed interest in the sport, but his best years would be behind him. I'm telling you, this guy's career is over. Seems like the bulk of the cash that he made as a boxer is all going to attorney's fees. In men's super lightweight news, up-and-comer Oscar Duarte has confirmed that he will challenge Hitchens on February 21st for his IBF title on the undercard of Garcia versus Barrios, effectively avoiding any stagnation that may have resulted from his promoter, Golden Boy Promotions, being without a broadcaster right now, as their deal with DAZN seems to have ended in the previous year and has yet to be renewed, and in light of legal troubles with their fighter, Virgil Ortiz, you have to wonder if DAZN will renew with them. That's basically saying that if Oscar Duarte had to rely on Golden Boy Promotions to put this fight together, he would have been up Schitt's Creek without a paddle, but thankfully for him, Turkey LL Sheik is the one who's put that card together. I thought Turkey LL Sheik didn't want to do no business with Richardson Hitchens. Guess he came around to that idea, though he's not exactly doing him any favors putting him in the ring with Oscar Duarte, a big, strong, aggressive pressure fighter who's really hit a stride after having been stopped by Brian Garcia. I'm no fan of Ryan or his boxing, but I don't need to be to know that he does hit harder than Richardson Hitchens, that he packs a more authoritative punch, and that punch is what bailed him out of a difficult fight with Oscar. Oscar was roughing up Ryan, pushing him around. Ryan's power's what bailed him out, whereas Richardson Hitchens, he ain't got no power. He's a pure boxer, on his toes, using a jab, moving around. He's that kind of guy. Desperation would have had to have been the reason Richardson Hitchens took on this fight, because he doesn't have to. He's not obligated to fight Oscar, but at the same time, it's not like the offers are pouring in. Where a few weeks ago I thought that Matchroom had decided to re-sign him, that is not the case, according to Eddie Hearn. They didn't. So you don't have them to make fights for you, and you yourself don't have the kind of marquee value that makes you a bankable commodity. A hot commodity. Left in the wilderness, at the mercy of the elements, you have to take what you can get, and since becoming a free agent, this is what he could get. A fight with Oscar Duarte. The fight is precarious enough that I almost think Richardson shouldn't fight him at all. You should just move up to welter, since that's what you plan on doing anyway. Drop the belt and move up now, because you fight this guy, you might lose. And then you'll be worse off than if you hadn't fought him. So why doesn't he just do that? Needs money. He likely needs money. It's been some months since the George Kambosos fight, which turned out to be his final fight of his existing Matchroom deal. Hasn't made any money since then, at least not from fighting. So if he's taking on this fight, it's like I said, desperate. It's gotta be out of desperation. He needs money. Don't we all? At the risk of sounding like I'm overselling Oscar Duarte, it's not so much that Oscar is this amazing and great fighter, it's that Richardson Hitchens isn't. And we saw that when he fought Gustavo Lemos, a pressure fighter, the same as Oscar is a pressure fighter, except that Oscar is bigger. Oh, and I don't got no hair on my tongue. I don't beat around the bush. I absolutely think that Oscar Duarte is on the sauce. I think that guy's on peds. And I don't say that to castigate him. I don't say that for no reason. I say that because I think this is a very dangerous fight for Richardson Hitchens, and I don't think he has the ingredients to win. So if they're really gonna do this, and he's really gonna fight him, I might have to lean towards Oscar for the upset.
I don't think we're going to see the head-to-head. We're not going to do belts thing right away. I think that's silly. Because if you take a guy like Jai Opetaia, if you don't make a fight with the winner of Benavidez and Zurdo, what the hell are you doing with the guy? Right. He's going to go to heavyweight and do what? Fight for non-titles? No, nobody cares.
How are you going to make it?
You got to allow the governing bodies.
I think that was a difficult fight to make anyway, because Zurdo and Benavidez are former super middleweights at cruiserweight. Opetaia is a cruiserweight / heavyweight.
Yeah, he's going out.
So I think that was going to be a difficult one to make, regardless, with the winner of Zurdo and Benavidez. I'm not sure the winner of Zurdo and Benavidez was going to fight Opetaia anyway.
But then Opetaia goes up to heavyweight, and
does what?
That's my point. If you're not fighting for titles, who the hell cares? Yeah. So that's the issue that they're going to run into in the beginning. And I don't think they're just going to be like, no titles, we're not doing any title fight, because you can't have a guy like Opetaia and not fight for titles. He's a world class. He's a world champion. He's dominant. You're gonna have to let those guys be able to fight for titles.
I agree with Chris Algieri's assertions about what Zuffa needs to do now that they've signed this guy, but I understand what Paulie's trying to say, because I've been saying that the whole time. See, what Chris is saying is where initially you guys said you weren't going to work with the sanctioning bodies, you went ahead and signed this guy. Why? And all the value in signing this guy and the fights that people want to see him in involve other belt holders, involve other champions that hold other sanctioning body titles. You've got to give him the wiggle room to do that, which is a deviation from what you originally said. You said you weren't going to work with the sanctioning bodies. You better when it comes to this guy. That's all the value in picking him up. So perhaps they might. In my previous live stream, when we were talking about the exact same thing, I said, don't get too attached to anything you may have heard up until this point, because Zuffa needs to operate like a chameleon, adapting to whatever they need in the moment to gain some footing. Maybe in the long run, they won't work with the sanctioning bodies, but for right now that they're set to launch, they need to be adaptable. They don't have the brand trust of a Top Rank, of a PBC, a Golden Boy, a Matchroom. The boxing fans are just now getting to know them, so whatever they do now, they've got to be adaptable, and a part of that might involve letting Jai pursue the other belts. In comes Paulie Malignaggi's perspective, which is what I've been saying. Even if they allow this and Zuffa tweaks their strategy, they're willing to work with the sanctioning bodies for Jai Opetaia's fights. It was never a guarantee he was going to get Zurdo. It was never a guarantee he was going to get David. Those fights would have still been difficult to make whether he was at Matchroom or now that he's at Zuffa. The moral of the story? Jai Opetaia getting those other belts was never contingent upon who his promoter was. It was contingent upon whether or not those other guys want to fight him, and I still think they don't. I think Paulie thinks the same thing. That's what he's saying. Funniest thing about that fight between David Benavidez and Zurdo Ramirez is technically it's not made. Technically, it's not made yet because Golden Boy Promotions is between broadcasters right now. Been talking a lot about this as a result of Virgil Ortiz's recent lawsuit against Golden Boy, him trying to achieve free agency on the premise that they don't have a broadcaster right now. That's what came out. So are they going to have a broadcaster in May when this fight between David and Zurdo is supposed to go down? Right now, we don't know. What if DAZN decides not to renew with Golden Boy? Where does that leave the fight between David and Zurdo? Can't Amazon Prime do it? I would say they could, but if you'll notice, Amazon Prime doesn't have any boxing on the schedule, not via PBC, all of this month or next month. The PBC on Prime in general hasn't announced any fights for this year. So can they do this fight on Amazon Prime? I'm not sure. It's a nebulous situation. Back over to Zuffa. And the signing of Jai Opetaia that challenges everything we thought we knew about the fledgling promotion. Signing him. There's been a lot of concern that the fighters that end up at Zuffa are going to end up getting jerked like the fighters Dana has at the UFC. They're going to get dick in the booty contracts. That's what people have been complaining about, that Dana's going to transport a UFC infrastructure to boxing, and they've been vehemently against that. Alterations to the Muhammad Ali Act, we've talked all about it, but I've maintained most boxers in the sport of boxing don't actually make that much money, and the top earners in the sport only really encompass a small percentage. Very small. Keep assuming that the fighters that go over there are gonna get jerked, but I don't think that Rayo went over there, and I don't think that veteran trainer Robert Garcia would be funneling his fighters over to Zuffa so they can get jerked? No. Or Tom Loeffler and his 360 Promotions fighters, his stallion, Callum Walsh. I don't think he took him over there to get jerked. I don't think Jai Opetaia. You understand that Jai Opetaia could have gotten extension with Matchroom if it was about not getting jerked. If he leaves Matchroom for Zuffa, odds are it's because Zuffa offered him more money. They would have had to get an unbeaten, reigning Ring Magazine champion on their side of things. So all this stuff about fighters going over to Zuffa getting jerked, you don't know that. You never did. You based all your assumptions on disgruntled fighters over at the UFC, but this is not the UFC. It's not just Dana White's baby. It's also Sella and Turki Al-Sheikh, the WWE, Paramount. There's a lot of fingers in that pie. Gotta reevaluate everything we think we know about Zuffa's inner workings. Still gonna struggle to get Zerto or David in the ring after their fight. There is that hurdle, that obstacle, but there is also at least one other belt holder out there that Jai Opetaia can target that is not otherwise preoccupied right now. Noel Mikhailian, WBC champion, who to my knowledge isn't under any orders, doesn't have any mandatories, bogging him down. Jai Opetaia with Zuffa behind him. Go after that guy. Come on. What do you think Noel Mikhailian made to fight Badu Jack for a second time on the West Coast in a shoebox? On average, what do you think Noel Mikhailian has made for a boxing match, for a fight? This is a guy who already don't make a lot of money. Convincing. Even if the guy is a bit squirrely, money is the great motivator. Well, can he afford to wait around for the winner of Zerto Ramirez versus David Benavidez? They're supposed to fight in May. You don't get the winner in theory until the end of the year. What do you do up until then? If the winner even looks in your direction. This is Zuffa's opportunity to do for Jai Opetaia what Matchroom didn't. This is their opportunity to get him a unification match and one-up Eddie Hearn. It's a good look. It's good for the brand. It's a mystery, all right. Everybody's trying to wrap their minds around this signing because it challenges everything we thought we knew and opens the door for a lot of other possibilities. Maybe a unification match is one of them.
The fuck is wrong with you?